Welcome, everybody, to The Life Between All or Nothing. I'm Scott J.
And I am Mary Kay.
And we're here to talk about changing your life, following your dreams, getting to know yourself, and just overall doing things better for you. And no matter what
Yeah.
point you are in your life, it's never too late to reinvent yourself, to try new things, or to do something different. And just get unstuck. Is that a good way to say it? Just get unstuck.
Yeah. Let's get unstuck, Scott. Are you wearing your jammies?
I am
You're wearing a
I'm wearing my jammies. See, my jammies, I don't wear like jammies because this isn't like the Dick Van Dyke Show. Okay, so I don't wear jammies. I wear boxers and a t-shirt. Now, I'm wearing sweatpants. I'm not wearing boxers because if I have to stand up, I don't want to have everybody get a show. But I'm wearing sweatpants and I'm wearing my t-shirt, and just to jammy it up a little bit, I am wearing my favorite bathrobe.
Love it, love it. Well, I'm wearing my jammies. I'm wearing my sheep. I don't know if you can see the sheep on here.
Yes, there's the sheep.
Yeah, there's the sheep. So those are my jammies. I hope our audience is also wearing their pajamas because we asked them to get comfy, cozy, and have a jammy, maybe a teddy bear. Karen, hi Karen. Are you wearing your jammies?
Karen's with us wearing jammies, hopefully. And
Hi, Sandy
Mom is
Mom.
with us. Sandy Mom is with us. And whoever else is out there, and when you guys join in, hopefully you guys are wearing jammies. And there's a reason we're doing this. We're not just being silly, although there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, we are.
Is there?
I am.
It's okay to be silly sometimes.
Yeah.
Today was one of those great days when I went to work, and Karen and I, we have the Addiction Training Center. We have the One Brother, One Sister, our nonprofit. We have our companies, and our offices are about 10 minutes from our house, which is nice. She lives down the street from me, so we're right there. And I love days like this because we go in days like this and we're not seeing people. And it's like you could tell there's days when we're just working in the office because we're in T-shirts, I was wearing a shirt that I painted. It was covered with paint all over, and just wearing that in my office today. And every once in a while you get that moment where it's just like, well, what if somebody stops by? So I'm going to have to remember just to keep a spare shirt there just in case.
There you go. There you go. That's
Karen's in her T-shirt
ahead.
And sweats. She's got a T-shirt
perfect.
And sweats on. There we go.
Nice and comfy. Nice and comfy.
But yeah, but you work from home most of the time.
I do.
So are there a lot of days when it's not dress up day and you just...
Well, I can tell you that most of the time I am dressed up from the waist up. And then from the waist down, I am wearing tights and fluffy socks and leg warmers. But yeah, from the top up, I'm most of the time dressed up if I know I'm going to be on camera, especially that day.
There are so many people out there with this whole video conferencing meetings and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That they are not wearing pants. I'm not saying they're naked underneath there, but...
Well, they could be, but who cares?
They could be, but guys are wearing, the jacket, the tie, the shirt, and wearing a pair of gym shorts or something, and just sitting down. But you got to be careful because there are times when, if you accidentally, I was like, that somebody's at the door, you get up to answer. If you don't turn off your video camera, everybody gets to see everything.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with that stuff.
Yeah.
My favorite one was this guy. He was a reporter. This was when they were all working from home, and it first started with the video conferencing. And the reporter, he had on his shirt and his tie, and he was doing his reporting from his house. And as he's reporting, you could see across his living room to a hallway, and you saw a naked woman walk across the hallway.
Oh, I love it.
That's not the best part.
Oh.
He sees it in his monitor and jumps up to go tell her to stop. He realized he's not wearing pants, and his wife was out of town. That was his girlfriend.
Oh.
Yes. In his house.
Wow.
Naked girl, wife out of town, probably watching him. He's caught in his boxers and a naked woman.
Wow. Meanwhile, her lawyer is also watching going, whoa, we won, girlfriend, we won.
record. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Cha-ching. Oh,
cha-ching.
man.
So many bad things can happen. But
oh, my God.
It's a different world. but
It
it's
is
not
a different world.
everybody's living rooms. I mean, how long has this been? I mean, I know we had other things to talk about, but this is kind of funny to think about this, Mary Kay. It wasn't that long ago that we didn't know what podcasting was.
Oh,
That
that's true.
that cable TV was the biggest thing going.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for me, it wasn't that long ago. For some people, it's like, oh, we've always had cable TV since the dinosaurs. No.
Yeah, well, they're 22, right? They don't know.
I got shoes older than most of you people. And now it's like, we get to have our own show. We get to be in everybody's living rooms or on their phones or tablets or computers. We get to show up in our PJs, and we get to share our thoughts, whether they're good, bad, indifferent, or just bad shit crazy. We get to share with people. It's nice.
Yeah, bad shit crazy. Yeah.
Ronald says karma's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
It sure is.
That poor guy caught some karma.
Yeah, I know his story. Yeah.
So it's been a week. How are you? How was your week?
My week's been really good. It's been interesting to say the least. So I was telling you earlier about this chatbot GPT thing, and I'm just playing around with it and trying to figure out, okay, what can it do, and then what can it do for me? So I think it's a really interesting tool. I'm going to be exploring it more next week and just see how can I help it, or how can it help me move some things forward, some things in my business, some things in my my coaching business or my freelance business, or whatever. I don't know. Maybe something personal, something at home. I don't know, but it seems pretty neat, and there's a huge buzz around it. So that's my excitement for the week. And also the twerking. So I can tell you, because I put a post up the other day saying, okay, after 7 days of twerking, I'm like, you know what? This is a lot of fun. It totally primes your day. Sorry, what were you going to say?
We're talking about twerking, right? Like bending over and shaking your butt.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about, right?
The bottom bounces. Yes, exactly. But it's a dance move. Like it's a series of, like, I guess 5 different moves, and you need to master each one and then in sequence, and then do it so that you can get the jiggle going on too. Anyway, it took me a while to just get it right in front of the mirror, and I'm laughing. It's like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm laughing my head off. What a way to start the day, right?
Can we put that on the list of things a guy will never do?
But no, I think guys should do it too.
I don't think they should.
Why?
I don't even like looking at my ass in the mirror. I don't want to be twerking or doing stuff like that. I don't get it. I mean, it was like when Miley Cyrus did it, I was like, game over. I just can't look at this. This is too much.
But no one has to see it. No, it's just part of the fun. So find something fun to do as part of your morning routine. And maybe it's not twerking. Maybe I do belly dancing too, but not every day.
No, I like singing in the shower. Not everybody likes to do that. I like singing in the shower, and I do that. And I've learned, don't look up at the water while you're singing. I've learned that.
Do we need to send you a lifeguard?
I only had to choke 5 or 6 times before I figured out.
Oh my God!
Look down when you're singing in the rain. But
funny.
I love singing in the shower. So I got little routines I do. I do dance around my house when I'm alone.
You do?
Not just when I have music playing. Not just, it's not like I just get up and all of a sudden I'm Mary frickin' Poppins and I'm dancing. When I have music playing, I will get down and, little Cabbage Patch.
Oh my God.
Karen does walking at 5:30 a.m. That's her crazy morning routine.
I love it. I like to do the walking too. Except that the last little while, winter here is a little rough on the doggies' paws. So we don't do the full on walk.
So hey, if you guys got anything crazy you like to do, twerking, singing,
tell
dancing,
us.
Let us know.
Whatever.
Let us know. What are your releases for your creative energies and things like that?
Yeah.
Or even better, what are your releases for that little kid inside of you that just every while wants us to go run around in the rain? What are your releases for those things? Because that's a healthy thing to have.
It's healthy. And you know what? I had an experience today I was over at my parents' house and my mom's like, could you teach me how to get back on the Facebook so I can call my brother? Like, okay. So we went through the whole thing, wrote down the instructions for her.
I love this. Old people call it the Facebook.
The Facebook.
Help me get on the Facebook.
The Facebook.
I love that.
So I get her on there, and as soon as she gets on there, and I guess her status showed green, one of her cousins called her from Cyprus that she hasn't talked to in, I don't know, like a year or maybe more. And so they started chatting, and I'm just watching my mom like she's like a little kid with this. And so first it was her cousin, and then once we hung up from her, she wanted to call her brother. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you just go to the left side here, pick a name, and then just hit either the little telephone icon or the video camera if you want to see them and they see you. So she hit the video camera because she wanted to see her brother. And it was awesome. And she's just like a little kid, and the childlike wonder in her face and her demeanor. And I'm like, okay, I need to make her do this every day.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
And it's fun teaching some, some of the seniors and older people. I don't know if I should say that because we're so close to it.
What? Speak for yourself.
I'm so close to it. Excuse me. I'm sorry. The Metamucil just kicked in. No, it's fun teaching them some of the new technology and seeing them light up and seeing that because we're so used to it that sometimes we
take it for granted
how incredible it is. Back years ago when I worked I was a social worker and I was doing classes in family self-sufficiency and things like that. But I did a seniors class in how to work on computers or work computers to begin with.
Yeah.
And I remember the first class, a 4-hour long class. The entire class consisted of how to turn the computer on. It was that difficult. And I said, now that we have it on, let me show you how to turn it off and do it. I said, now you take your cursor, and I explained a million times the arrow is that little cursor. You move it over to the icon on the screen, you click on it. And this one woman in the back just looked so perplexed. And I couldn't see her screen from where I was. And I walked to the back of the room, and she was there, and she had her mouse on the screen. She was trying to click it with the mouse on the screen.
Yeah, and my mom is doing that too. She's like trying to click the button. I'm like click on the X on the top right of the screen. Yeah. So she puts her finger on the X, and I'm like, oh damn, we should have got her a tablet instead.
Oh, that would have been easier. See, Ron says Chris Farley sang in the shower facing the water in Saturday Night Live. Okay, yes, I do remember that.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was just one of the skits he did, singing in the shower.
I have to look it up.
But hey, it's not Monty Python, so it's probably not funny to you.
Oh, hey, didn't you say you were singing one of the songs from the Monty Python?
I was singing the song, Always Look on the Bright Side of Your
Life. Yeah. See, I'm telling you, my Monty Python's love is seeping into your core.
Nobody tell Gary, my best bud Gary, nobody tell him I'm singing Monty Python songs.
Oh,
he sang Maniac.
We'll change him.
He sang Maniac like in Flashdance. He's a maniac. All right.
Flashdance. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So you're twerking.
Maybe that'll be our next one.
You're twerking. You're teaching your mom about the Facebook, and you're doing a lot of good things. That sounds great.
Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah. I've been busy this week too, and been on the road training. Karen and I met some wonderful people up in Melbourne.
Nice.
And Melbourne, Florida. It's about 3.5 hours north of here. And we did a full day's training, and we met some great first responders, some great people that work in treatment, some people that are state social workers that go out and help homeless people and do that and try to get them services for mental health and for addiction. We just met cream of the crop, fantastic people, and we've already been invited back. And in fact, to even go further north and train more people. So we're really excited. It's always good to have that happen. And, and from that, they have this big festival that goes on in Recovery Month. and just to share with you how I'm grabbing onto things that I've always wanted to do. And I'm 56 years old. And it's time that I started doing the things I wanted to do. And
Yeah.
so there's a recovery festival in Melbourne back in September, and I've already committed to be there. And I'm going to have a booth. We're going to definitely going to have a booth for our nonprofit for One Brother One Sister. I'm also going to have a booth for Sober Life Art, so we can sell art and give some of the proceeds to help, the people that need help for recovery. And I'm also performing with Gary. We're going to be singing. We're going to be doing an hour set of Beatles and Simon and Garfunkel, Crosby, Stills, Nash, those kind of things. And
I love it.
So Gary and I have committed, and I am booking my first actual official gig to sing. And,
congratulations.
They said, what time slot do you want? I said 3 hours before anybody shows up. That's the time slot I want. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it, brother.
Oh, nice.
Congratulations. So it's been a good week.
Good stuff. And I'm happy that we're here. Can you believe we're on episode 6 already?
No, I can't.
It's 6. I know.
That's crazy. And what we've been talking about, everything we've talked about is about finding out about who you are and learning about who you are and not just knowing who you are. See, there's two things you can do. You can know who you are and you can ignore who you are. But just even because you know who you are, it doesn't mean you're doing anything about it. Are you going to do something about it? If I know that lights me up and I like doing it, am I going to move towards that? Am I going to start doing those things?
Mm-hmm.
You're leaning more and more into writing and doing those kind of things because you love that so much. And
I
want to lean more into, obviously my company, but also into the art and the other things that I have in my life. And I want to lean more into that. And it's never too late to start doing that stuff.
It's never too late. That's a great point to make. And that's what our show is about tonight, guys. And that's why we're here. That's why we're here in our pajamas, because we want to encourage you to dream. This is all about dreaming. And we've been talking about getting to know yourself and figuring out the things that light you up. And so now it's time, like, what do you do with that information? What do you do with it? So you use it to craft your dream. You use it to craft your vision. And then once you have that vision in place, then we can talk about working backwards from that. Something I call think big and then shrink big. It's one of the programs that's part of my coaching program where we're looking at the big vision, and then we're going to craft the micro steps that it's going to take to get there. And those steps are flexible, just in case new information comes in. So we want to know from our audience here today, what are some dreams that you have? You can put them in the comments so we can see.
Yes.
Because we just want to know, this is a dream session. And then Scott and I will share some of our dreams as well.
Yeah, I got some scary ones too, with big gorillas with fangs and nasty.
No, not nightmares. We want the dreams, Scott. The dreams.
Oh, okay. Well, no, really. What are your dreams? And let's include daydreams in there too, because I think daydreams are even more telling, I think, sometimes. And I think that's probably where I lean more towards. I'm not one of those guys who remembers their dreams. There's people. Are you one of those people that when you wake up, you remember what you dreamed about?
I do sometimes, but for me, like when I talk to my clients about their dreams, I'm not talking about the dreams at night. I'm talking about what dreams are they creating for themselves and for their life. So, like you said, the subject of daydreams.
Yeah. Daydreams, I'm going to have to lean on those.
Yeah.
Sandy says, so glad you're singing. Thank you. EdiePolyArt.com. Make sure you check her out. What are your dreams, Scott? My dream, Edie, is to be you. Not in a creepy way, okay? I'm not going to come and get your skin. I'm saying it's a horror movie right there. No, she started doing art and she just exploded, and she has shows in North Miami Beach in different places. And it's not that I want to be you. No, tell us Tell us your daydreams. Okay. um, my dream is to lean fully into my creative side and to not be afraid of that. The singing and the playing guitar and the painting and now the writing that I want to do. I mean, I write all the time. I was spending weeks writing new programs and new things so we can do trainings. But there's things in here, stories in here that I want to tell and pieces of me that I want to share in writing. But I've always been hesitant to do that. So I think my dream is to not have hesitation anymore, just to move forward and do things. And, and that's what I say. And I see myself on stage and it's like, can I be on stage? Yes. I mean, I get asked to go on stage all the time. Can I write a book? Yes. You know what? The cool thing is, I don't know if people realize this, Mary Kay, anybody can write a book. You self-publish a book. You don't have to like go out and sell your book to somebody. They print it and then they go out. You actually, there's companies like Lulu and different companies where you can submit your book. They will print it for you. And then what they'll do is as they sell, they'll print copy by copy and ship them to people if they buy them.
Oh, yeah. Amazon, KDP. Yes, Amazon.
Anybody can
put your book
do
in
a book now.
Yep.
You don't have to do that. Edie says, I want a piece of you. Edie, you're adorable. I want you and I to do an art show together. That's what I really want.
There you go.
You want to know one of my dreams? My dreams is for you and I to do some sort of art thing together. Somewhere we just show up, we put our stuff out, we sell some art, and we have some fun. I would love that. And we'll fly Mary Kay down to twerk for us that'll attract the people. That'll attract the people.
or repel. It may repel. I don't know. I'll keep practicing.
Only if I join you twerking. That's write to yourself like you're the only one reading it, so your true self comes out. You know what, Ron? That's brilliant advice.
Yeah.
Ron's a friend of yours, right?
I love it. He is, and he is a writer.
Oh, yeah. He is.
He is. And he's working on a couple of projects.
I would imagine that's a stopping point for a lot of people who have. I imagine there's a lot of people out there who would love to write, but they get hung up on trying to write something that people want to read instead of trying to write what's in their heart. Is that an accurate statement, you think? And Ron, join in, please, if you think that's accurate.
Yeah, in my opinion, for sure. And I'm sure, I'd love to hear what Ron's take on that as well. Yeah,
he says that's what he's doing. He's writing for himself. Yeah. Edie says, you got it. We could do a show together. We're going to do a show together. And Ron says that's exactly right. So, so my dreams really fall around. It's a little bit of what I'm doing, but it's to do it unabashedly. It's to do it straightforward, to be more courageous in being me. That's my dream. The only reason I can have that dream is because I am already starting to live the life that I want to live. I am living the life that I want to live, but I'm not living it loud enough. I would like to just add a little more seasoning.
Turn up the volume, Scott.
To what I'm cooking. But I know I've been in those places, and Mary Kay, I know you would agree with this, and you've been there. Those places where the dream seemed so far away, I wasn't close to living any of it.
Yeah.
Now I'm living pieces of it, but I just want to step even more into it. What do you think about that?
Step by step. And I think, you know what, once you do have your dream loosely worked out in your mind, so you know that you want to be a little more, like you said, unabashedly. I think that's the word you used.
I said it quickly so it couldn't be corrected because I know I said it wrong.
Oh my God. So it's a matter.
That was one of the seven dwarves, right? Unabashedly.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I know Grumpy and Sleepy very well.
There we go.
So I think that finding our dreams and having that loose vision. So that's one thing. And you can start daydreaming about that. So for me, one of my dreams was in 2020, it was, I want to write for a magazine. And I didn't know which magazine or how I was going to do that. I started looking up online magazines. I'm like, how do I submit to them? And blah, blah, blah. But you know what I wasn't doing? I wasn't writing. So once I figured out that, okay, writers write. So start writing. So that's what I did. I started writing. I wasn't approaching magazines. I was approaching publications on a platform called medium.com, which you can also self-publish a whole bunch of things, not just the publications. And that's where I started. And lo and behold, a year and a little bit later, somebody asked me to write for their magazine, their online news organization. Not one, but two of them. So
Wow.
it's just, you start doing things and then you open up the opportunities and you increase your competence is going to increase your confidence no matter what. So if you're
Right.
not confident, then what is it that you can get better at? What is it that you can get good at? What is it that you can learn? And so part of getting that dream in place is keeping it in your heart, because if you can attach an emotion to that, and Scott, I can tell that you've got the emotions around the art and the emotions around the performing. If you can attach an emotion to it, there's more chance that you're going to make it happen, because you invoke that emotion every time you daydream about it. And then you're like, oh, okay, look what's on my list of things to do to get me closer to that dream, even if it's something that takes 15 minutes. So for you, maybe it's looking up other gigs that you might want to do before September to warm yourself up. I don't know. That's just one idea.
No, I like that. I
So
like that.
attaching an emotion to your dream is huge. And we had talked about vision boards before, and I think in a couple of shows ago. And
Yeah.
maybe I'll do a session on vision boards, or my version of how I think vision boards can work for people. And I think vision boards are great because they do help with that emotional attachment factor to the thing that you want to get to. But there's also another aspect. So on the vision board, there should be little um, mini goals, or whatever you want to call them, mini milestones around that thing. And those are the things that you're going to pick off every day. It's like, okay, which one of these am I going to work on today? Knowing that those are laying the tracks to, get your train moving in the right direction. Full
I
steam ahead.
think a lot of times when people are starting to move in that direction, and I know I've gone through this and I've seen other people do it, it's like, well, it's going to take too long to figure out how to do it, or I don't want to go out and do something and look silly, or I don't want to get it wrong. And I can't imagine that anybody ever grabbed a bicycle and just started riding without falling down a few times, or any child started walking without stumbling and falling down and looking like a drunk sailor. I mean, it's just, that's how things happen, is we fall and we stumble and we learn.
And
But
we learn.
as you get older, your ability, just like your physical ability, when you fall down, you don't get up quite as fast as you did when you were 20. When you're in your 50s, you fall down, you're immediately going, okay, check the hip, check the knee, check everything, make sure shit didn't break off. I'm fine. Okay, good. But you don't bounce right back up. And it's almost like that physicality is almost the same thing with us emotionally. Emotionally, we don't rebound as well either. So I don't want to be doing something in my 40s or 50s or even 60s and look foolish at it. It's difficult. So how does people get past that? I'm sure people talk to you about that all the time. It's like, well, I want to do that, but I don't know how, and I don't want to look stupid doing it.
Yeah, so I call those people the anti-mentors. They're the anti-mentors. They're the people in your life that most of the time you tell them your dream and they say, well, the problem with that is, if somebody starts the conversation or reacts to you with, the problem with that is, or this is what's going to stop, and okay, that's going to bring you down. But I feel, and this is my opinion, that listen to those people. So they may have things to talk about, the risk that you might take, or you are going to look stupid or whatever. And then you take those things and you analyze them for yourself. So is it true? Like, is it really true? Is it a fact, not a belief, but a fact that this is going to happen? And then you can look it up. So say I wanted to do a podcast, for example, right? Before I met you, Scott, I was like, yeah, I don't know if I can do it. I don't. And people said, oh, it's just so much work and you have to be prepared and you have to plan your content like months out and blah, blah, blah. And so what did I do? I went and looked, how do you start a podcast? What's the minimum viable product? What do I need to do at just the very basic level?
Basics, yeah.
Sure, it can end up in a studio down the road. It can, we can hire people and all that sort of thing. But, what people said actually wasn't true, or wasn't true enough that it was going to stop me. And
right.
I tell people to look for evidence that's contrary to what these contrarians are telling you. So that's one aspect of it, right? Is checking out, is it a fact, or is it their belief? Is it something about them that they're projecting onto you? Then the other thing, of course, is our emotions about it. So if somebody tells me my podcast sucks, our podcast sucks, or whatever, yeah, it might grab me a little bit, but then I'll think, but what's wrong with that? That's okay.
Right.
If somebody doesn't like it, then they're not part of the audience that we're talking to, right? It's not for them. And
you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Yeah, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea.
And that's okay.
And some people, they like to overcomplicate things. And maybe they do spend weeks and months planning one podcast, and they do all of that. And these are the same people who feel it's necessary to chew Jell-O 32 times before swallowing it. But that's them. Everybody does things differently. And what you're going to figure out is, okay, let's get the comment up here, and then I'll finish my thought here. You have to be willing to make mistakes while you are learning. It's part of the process. Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's amazing advice. Yeah.
That's exactly how you learn, is by making mistakes. But what you also learn is that I'm never going to do things the way I think I should do them. I'm going to do them to my abilities to do them. Mm-hmm. In my head, I think I should go out there and sound like Elvis and do all of this stuff. I'm never going to do that. But what I will do is go out there and I'll sound like Scott. And what I have to understand is that if I enjoy singing, then singing as Scott is all I've got. And just do it.
Yeah. And your voice is great. I can tell you. Your voice is great. I've heard some of the songs.
Well, I appreciate that. But I think it's more to the point of, I watch, me going out there and having a voice crack or hitting a bad note or a sour note while I'm singing is not ending anyone's life. It's not going on TMZ. It's not going to be reported on the evening news. It's not like Roseanne Barr went out there and butchered the national anthem.
Oh, God.
Everybody talked about it for years. Nobody gives a shit if Scott hits a bad note. And why do I care so much then?
That's a good point.
So important. I go to the Metropolitan Museum of Modern Art today. I will walk around there, and 90% of the paintings that are hanging in there, I will tell you, they look like crap to me. Mm-hmm. And every one of them is worth millions and billions of dollars. And they're telling me this is art. And I'll say, that's not art to me. But then I'll go look at something else and I'll say, that I like. Mm-hmm. Everything is subjective. People like some things. They don't like other things. If everybody did things exactly the same way, there's no variety. There's no diversity. There's nothing. You and I do a show the way we do it because this is who we are. Mm-hmm. I'm going to sing the way I sing because that's who I am. I'm going to paint the way I paint because that's how I paint. And I'm going to teach the way I teach because that's how I teach. And that's how I write. And that's how I do things. And that's the point I'm getting to today, where it's stop trying to be something else and just be you and take you to the next level. Don't try to take me out of myself to the next level. My next level is not to sound like Adam Levine from Maroon 5. That's not my next level. I would need vice grips on my nuts to sound like Adam Levine. I mean, it's not my next level. My next level is to sound, Scott sounds a little better today than he did last time. That's all. That's all.
Yeah,
we got Karen Miller's with us.
Karen Miller. Hi, Karen.
Sorry, I'm a wee bit late tonight. Oh, Karen, no problem whatsoever.
That's okay. A wee bit.
And Therese, my co-host from the X's, I'll put it on TikTok. What are you going to put on
Therese,
TikTok?
do it. You're singing.
Oh, you're going to put my singing on TikTok?
like Adam Levine, yeah, because your nuts are in the vice grip. Like she wants that on TikTok.
It was so funny. Therese,
Oh my
I was
God.
telling you earlier, Therese called me today. She called me and is like, I knew bad weather was coming up. In fact, I'd sent her early in the morning. I said, be careful, bad weather heading your way. And then I got a call from her later and I was like, oh, I hope she's okay. And I answered the phone. She goes, I'm just telling you, I don't want to talk to you. And I'm like, what? She accidentally dialed my number and didn't want to just hang up. So she had to wait for me to answer the phone so she could tell me it was an accident and she really doesn't want to talk to me.
That's
It was
so
a
sweet,
very
Therese.
interesting conversation. It was really lovely, actually. But we laughed about it. It's always good.
Oh,
She
it's
said,
too funny.
yep. And Therese is let me tell you something about Therese. Therese has made a resolution this year that she's going to be out in public more and doing more things. She's doing TikToks with her daughter.
Nice.
And by herself doing these great TikToks, very
Oh my God, I have
entertaining.
to follow her.
You have to, and she called me the other day or texted me a picture. She was in Barnes and Noble, just went out to go hang out at Barnes and Noble bookstore, have some coffee, read books, and get out in public. And I'm sorry to give away your stuff, Therese, but I'm just saying, everybody can start making changes anytime they freaking want.
Yeah.
Everybody can start moving into it. Ron says, what we did learn on the show today, twerking with your nuts in a video. LOL.
I'm glad you learned something, Ron. I'm glad you learned
Then he
something.
fixed it. Vice. Okay, not in a
Vice.
video, in a Vice. Okay. Yes. I would be twerking then if I had, yes, and singing like Adam Levine. Let's move away from the nuts comment. I shouldn't have said that. I apologize. I'm in my PJs. What do you want, people?
Yeah, yeah. These things have a
us
way
too.
of devolving.
Lynn's with
Oh,
us
hi,
here.
Lynn.
Amen,
Hi, Lynn.
Scott. Yeah. No more nuts and vices. We're not doing that anymore.
Oh my God. Okay. No more. No more. No more.
But, you know, I think that one of the reasons that we started this show is because we're both excited about the prospect of people becoming better for themselves and people making changes. Mm-hmm. And how exciting is it to you to work with people and help people do that?
Oh, it's incredibly exciting. As soon as I hear somebody or see somebody have that like tiny aha moment, the tiny one, just when an eyebrow raises, like they've heard something that they've never heard before and they get excited about it. It starts with the raised eyebrow, then it's like, oh, can I do that?
Yes.
Oh, and I'm going to ask them, well, can you? Sure you can. What's it going to take? How much do you want to commit? Let's build that plan. Let's see what you're missing, and we'll try and fill in the gaps. Let's see what the obstacles are, because I mean, when a client tells me about their obstacle, their barrier, we do an analysis on it. So we look at it and we go, okay, is it an obstacle? Is it a barrier? Or is it an excuse that you're using to not do the thing that you really want to do with your life? And most of the times it's an excuse. Sometimes it is a little bit of an obstacle that we just have to figure out how to get around it or over it or through it or under it, but there's a way. And then, sometimes, very seldomly, it's a barrier, like an actual barrier that they will not be able to get past. And when we get to that, and so it could be something like an educational thing, and they're not willing to invest $25,000 in this program, or having somebody on retainer, or anyway. So to them, it's a barrier. There are ways that they could get through it. So they could take a part-time job and just get that money and put it aside. And long story short, it would be something that they're not willing to do it. So it becomes a barrier because they're not willing. Once they figure out what it would take to get there, it's like, okay, nah, you know what? I don't want to do this because I don't want to do that. And then it's okay to say, yeah, you know what? That's not my dream anymore.
Yeah.
Next.
That's funny. You were saying about watching people light up with one little thing, and that's exactly when Therese made the comment. Takes one small step, because that one small step leads to the second step, and then the next step, and the step after. And I told the story before about the person who was struggling with their addiction, who was just a few days away from their addiction and going through detox, and said, I can't make it another minute, Scott. I can't. I want to leave. I got to use. I'm coming on. And he was wearing a Fitbit, one of those little watches. And I said, does that tell you how many steps you took? And he goes, yeah. I said, well, how many steps did you take today? And he goes, and to that point of that day, whatever it was like 2,000 something steps.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so you're telling me you took 2,030 steps and you didn't use, and you're telling me you can't take one more. And he goes, well, yeah, I can take one more. That's not what I'm saying. I'm like, no, that's exactly what the limit you're putting on yourself is, that limit. But you're telling me that limit doesn't really exist, because the truth is you can take one more step. And then after that, you probably could take one more step. And maybe that's just how we need to do things, is one step at a time. Lynn threw this out here as she's agreeing. She's one step at a time to move the needle. That's what we do. We move the needle towards our goals, towards true north, or whatever we want it to be. But it moves in increments, one little thing at a time. Stop looking at, I can never do this the rest of my life, or this whole thing is too big. You said at the beginning, you start with this. This is what I want. I want this world. I want the world. But I'm not going to get the whole world by trying to eat the whole world. You know, start with one little bite and one little piece. And so I kind of bring it into a micro focus. Aim small, miss small, aim small, miss small. You go for one little thing. Ron is saying, sharing ways to be a better you is inspiring. Thank you, Scott and Mary. You're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome.
Lee H is with us, saying next.
Oh,
yes.
Lee. Hi, Lee. Yes, next.
But these are all things. I wonder that when we put the limitations on the things that we want in our lives and the things that we want to be, listen, I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a little kid. I'm not going to be an astronaut at this point in my life. But it doesn't mean that my love of space has to be wasted.
That's right.
I could read about aeronautics. I can go to I actually am close enough. I could drive to the Kennedy Space Center and watch launches if I want to. Cool. I could do those kind of things if that's what I want to be a part of. Whatever you want. Okay, listen, nobody's blowing sunshine up your skirt. If your dream is to be a basketball player and you're 4 foot tall, it ain't happening. I'm sorry. Okay. But your love of
not an NBA basketball player, but you could be a basketball player elsewhere.
Let's do it this way. My dream is to be a great baseball player, but but now I'm 60 years old. Well, no, the days of you being a great baseball player are over, but there's rec leagues that you could join. You can coach youth leagues and share your love of the sport. You can watch more baseball. You can go to more games. There's all sorts of ways to express different things. We may have to make small adjustments because some of our dreams, of course, listen, I'm never going to be Superman because I'm never going to fly. It's just not going to happen. I've waited for wings to spring from my ass. They haven't happened yet. That's not going to happen. But I could do other things if I love that. I could take an airplane. We make minor adjustments, but no dream is unattainable in its totality. It just might mean the whole thing we got to make adjustments to. But those barriers you're talking about, Mary Kay, I would argue that 90% of the barriers people come across are barriers that they self-inflict.
Well, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They start with I can't or whatever. And I just can't do that. I can't. I'm not smart enough, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not. The things that start with that self-deprecating kind of statements, or well, yeah, I want to do that, but nobody wants to hear what I got to say. Those are all self. Those are walls that we built. Every brick we put in there is our own thinking. Every piece of mortar in there is our own self-talk. Those are our walls. If you don't want to have them, stop saying those things and start doing something different.
Well, start doing something different and ask yourself this question. When you say to yourself, I'm not good enough, or I can't, blah, 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 fill in the blanks. Ask yourself, how do I know that's true? I'm always going to go back to that. How do I know that's true? How do I know that's a fact? How do I know that's true? And 99.9% of the time, you'll be like, oh, maybe it's not true. And then you go and find out, okay, I'm not good enough yet. What do I need to do to get good enough? And then you can go off and do those things.
Your friend Lee is brilliant.
Yes, he sure is.
Lee said, argue for your limitations and they are yours.
And they are
Richard
yours.
Bach.
Yeah.
Richard Bach, who wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull. He also wrote a
Yes.
book, Illusions, The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah. And I have the handbook for the Messiah's Handbook written by Richard Bach right here. And it says the exact same thing in here. Argue for your limitations and they are yours.
I love
right here,
that.
I look at the Messiah's Handbook every day. Lee, it's nice to meet a kindred spirit in reading Richard Bach. That's great.
Oh, yes. Lee is actually a reverend. He's one of my friends that I met on Clubhouse, and he's the one that got me to read Illusions. And then I read Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and Lee is an amazing human. He gives of himself every single day, and he's working towards his dreams too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Karen's chiming in. She says, yesterday there was a firefighter in our class from the Space Coast Fire Department. Yeah, he was up there near the Kennedy Space Center. Let's see. I will never paint like Van Gogh, but that doesn't make what I paint less important to me or to others.
Right.
Or to others. Not every picture looks like a Van Gogh, and people buy all kinds of stuff. Have you seen the crap people buy? Come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh my goodness.
I swear, if we gave Ranger a paintbrush and a blank slate, your dog Ranger, your dog would paint something that looks like something that somebody has hanging in their multi-million-dollar mansion right now. I swear.
Oh, well, I think that's a great idea. I think
you should get Ranger painting. You're going to make some money.
I might do that. He's going to have an Instagram account, and yeah, we'll have a digital art studio. Why not?
Wow.
Silly ideas. It's fun to be silly.
It is fun to be silly, and it's fun to dream, and it's fun to fulfill some dreams and to do some things. Listen, if I'm afraid a lot of people think that life starts to shut down in their 40s and 50s when they're working and they're responsible for everything and they're doing things, and it's like, if life is shutting down, what are you still doing here? It's and I don't want to do that as a challenge for like, well, just go off yourself. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
I'm not. Definitely not. What I'm saying is, if you're still here, don't you think there's more to it than just doing a job? Don't you think it's more to it than just being miserable? You're still here because you're supposed to share yourself with the world and with your loved ones, and you're supposed to share your gifts. If you have lived to be 50 years old, and maybe you're 40, but if you've got 40 years of life experience behind you, you have learned some shit that is valuable to somebody. Express it somehow. Express it. We've all been through stuff. Everything that we go through adds value to who we are. And the dreams that you have add value to who you are as a person. Start living those things. Start being those things. Again, I'm going to point back to my friend Edie Polly, and she's always been great. And she does art that, I mean, I love the colors of her art. Her art and my art could not be more different. But I look at her art and I'm like, I can see Edie. I can see her coming out in these colors, in these bright things, and it's just so brilliant that she's able to share that with the world and share unabashedly who she is. That's our word of the day, by the way.
Unabashedly.
Neither of us knows what it means, so somebody look it up, but we're using it anyway. And there's people like my mom, who started painting a couple of years ago when COVID shut the world down. And she's always done little arts and crafts, and she used to do jewelry and make jewelry. And she decided to try her hand at real acrylic painting. And now people are hiring her to do portraits of their pets and farm scenes, or like barn, like barns in winter scenes and lake scenes and beach scenes. And her favorite, gnomes. She paints beautiful gnomes.
I love it.
She hates them, painting the gnomes. But she does it. She does it. She painted a whole family of Jewish gnomes for a family that wanted Jewish gnomes, and she did this.
Oh, wow.
But to watch her do that and to say, my God, I mean, I could see her heart and her soul in her work. How many of us are hiding these things from the people around us and stuff? Don't do that anymore. Your children, your spouses, your friends, your grandchildren, if you will, they want your gifts. But if you're going to stifle yourself, you're keeping those gifts from the people that love you. Don't do that
Yeah.
anymore. Start
And that's a good
sharing them.
way. That's a good way to put it, because a lot of people that I talk to, they come and they want to know what's my purpose? What's my purpose? What's my purpose? And that puts a lot of strain on yourself. And that's exactly what you said, Scott, is what I tell them. Your purpose is to share yourself with the world. Now, how you're going to do that? Okay, we can figure that out, and we can work that out. We can figure out what lights you up and what can be the brightest thing in your system that you want to put out there as your dream. So yeah, if you don't do that, you're right. You're robbing the world of that lit up Scott, or that lit up Lynn, or that lit up Sandy, or
Or
Lee,
Mary.
or Mary. Yes. And
Yes.
yeah, and it's funny because now in my mid 50s, I very much appear to be an extrovert, and because I've worked on being an extrovert, but you wouldn't have seen me do anything like this prior to age 40. It wasn't happening.
Right.
It was just something that I felt closed off. I felt different. I felt like I didn't belong in things, and I would just have to assimilate into whatever group that I wanted to assimilate into. And once I figured out that it's not that I don't care what people think, because I do care what people think, right? I'm not going to
Yeah.
say that I don't. And I think it's healthy to care what people think in some degrees. But what people think doesn't have to stop me from what I want to do, right? It just doesn't have to stop you. And
Right.
I think it's just it's sad. Like when I talk to people that are in their 70s and 80s, and they start revealing the dreams that they had, it's very sad to see that they didn't do the things that they wanted to do, mostly because of other people, who then they adopt the belief for themselves. But they realize that we all realize that later on in life, I think. And it's not about not
Yeah.
having any regrets. We can learn from regrets, right?
There's a lot of outside influences like pushing on us, and it's like,
Yeah.
again, I think I talked about this last time, but this is, you're standing at the kids' party, and all the adults are standing in one spot. The kids are in the bouncy house, and every adult standing there, almost every adult, most of the adults standing there have it go through their head, I just want to go in that bouncy house. I don't want to stand here. I don't want to talk about, the gas prices and taxes and healthcare. I don't want to stand here and do this adult talk. I want to go bounce around with those little snotty ankle biters in there and bounce them around that bouncy house and jump up and down and have fun. But we restrain ourselves, partially because of what other people would think, but more importantly, we like to blame what we think other people would think. But the truth is, the only judgment that can be made on us is the judgment we place on ourselves. If somebody says to me that, Scott, you're just acting stupid and you're acting childish and you're acting silly, I might take offense to that, because part of me believes that, well, they're probably right. So I'm a self. But if they walked up to me and said, Scott, you're being a duck-billed platypus, I'm not reacting to that, because I don't believe that. I know that I'm not a duck-billed platypus. It doesn't affect me, The only times things affect us, when people point things out or there's judgments against us, is if we believe those judgments to be true. When we do not believe them to be true, we are no longer afraid of those things. So next time you think, I don't want people to look at me a certain way, that's not your problem. You don't want to see yourself that way. And until you change that judgment about yourself, you will never be able to be free of those chains. You'll never be free to be who you are and do what you want to do. Stop judging yourself. When you no longer have judgments against yourself, anyone else's judgments carry no water, no weight. That's just them calling you a duck-billed platypus. It carries nothing.
That's a fantastic point, Scott. That's a fantastic point. And you're right. It does trigger feelings in people, because they also hold that belief about themselves. But we can change our beliefs. I mean, you and I both have changed our beliefs over our lifetime many, 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 many times over. And even if I had this belief about myself in my 20s, I've changed. I've
Yeah.
changed since my 20s. So maybe that belief isn't true anymore. Let's take a look at it. Let's examine it. Let's cross-examine it. Let's ask it questions. We can change our beliefs.
Let's put it in the interrogation room and beat the snot out of it and cross-examine it. And no,
Yeah.
really, we should
Yeah.
challenge those things. Karen Miller says, I never cared what people think. The wee Scott I am won't allow it.
She's Scottish. she's
Oh,
a
the wee
wee
Scott.
Scottish, the
Oh,
wee
I thought
Scot.
she was telling me I had to
Not
go
not
wee. The Scott I am will not allow it, not to care what other
yeah.
people think. And then she's saying, great point. Again, when you are confident in yourself, when you feel good about yourself, when you can look at something and say, I did good, and that's good,
Yeah.
and that's fine, that's good enough, then nobody can take that from us. But if we are still critical of ourselves, critical of our own movements, critical and judgmental of ourselves, we will take everything. In fact, we will blow it up. I don't think I did a good job. I think I did a lousy job. I think I'm no good at this. Now, all I need is one person, not even to make a judgment, but just look at me sideways. I'll create the judgment for them.
And prove it. Yeah.
They looked at me funny. They think that I'm a piece of crap. Well, no, they don't. You do. You think you're a piece of crap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Own it, people. Own it. If you want to change it, you got to own it first. And once you own that, all of those barriers and all those judgments that are stopping you are yours. Once you own them, then you can change them. But you can't own things you don't change, or you can't change things you don't own.
And own the things that you've already proven to yourself that you are good at this and you are good at that. And make a list, put them in a book, put them in a journal, put them in a jar. If your day is full of 25 good things that you did, put them all in a jar and then do the same thing and keep doing it and keep doing it, keep doing it. And then on the days that you feel like those people's beliefs or even your own beliefs, you're just not at that level today, you don't have that energy, that vibe, go to that jar. Start picking out the things and reading them, right? I have that. I have a book that I write down my the good things that I did. And sometimes the good things are, I made that cashier laugh today. Like it might be something this big.
Yeah.
I'm still writing it down because I know there's going to be days where I'm spiraling into some kind of mood or some lack of confidence temporarily. And that's going to bring me out of it. So, start a jar or a book or in your phone or a bunch of stickies on the wall. I like stickies.
Yeah. Big time stickies. Absolutely. Nobody made $1 million by making $1 million. They made it by making $1, then adding another dollar, then another dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Every small thing you do, everything that you do that moves you in a positive direction, you need to acknowledge that. You're not going to stop and throw a parade just because you did something nice. You're supposed to do something nice, but acknowledge.
True.
Acknowledge how it made you feel and know that you're on the right path. Certainly, writing those things down. Lee says, all it takes is one. I've done it. Jump into the bounce house and at least 10% more will join in. Then watch out. Yes. And then you've got the law. Then you got the lawsuit because little Timmy got his clavicle broken by Uncle Billy who jumped on him. All right.
But Lee's right about that. And I think that's a great point, Lee, because when we allow ourselves to do something that's silly or we might get judged for, it gives everybody around us that permission as well. Join me.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. And if you're that instigator, then be that instigator. Why not?
Be it. You're inspiring. You're inspiring. Yeah. Some people inspire, knowledge. They inspire people to learn, inspire. Some people are just the inspirators of joy. Be one of those.
Yeah. Be one of those. Bring the joy and spread it around.
Bring the joy. Help people unlock theirs. Yeah. And if you don't have any joy, I got enough. You can borrow some of mine. I mean,
there you go.
Jump
the
on
library of joy.
Jump on the Platypus Express. We are going all the way, baby. We are going. Well, Mary, unbelievably, we are at the end of the show. We have gone through the full hour.
Wow.
And we could keep going, but that would be selfish. People have other lives, and I don't want to keep them here all the time. And besides, I'm tired of all these people now. I want to thank everybody, Karen and Sandy and Therese and Ron and Edie and Karen Miller and I said Therese and Lynn. Everybody who joined in, and Lee, brilliant thoughts. Gene, Richie, good to see you here. Just brilliant people joining us and sharing your thoughts with us means the world to us. The fact that you take a little time to join us and talk about these things. And hopefully, we start a little trend of stop being stuck and start enjoying your life and start doing something that's worth doing. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you like to do something, anything worth doing is worth doing badly.
Yes.
I love playing golf. I'm not a great golfer, but golf, I like it so much, it's worth doing badly. So I go out there and I do it. And sometimes I have a good shot. Sometimes I have a bad shot, but I enjoy it anyway.
That's the premise behind our show, right? The life between all or nothing. Just do it. You want to do it? Do it. So we're going to our final word?
We're going to our final thoughts. Go ahead. Take us out, Mary. What do you
I'll
think?
take us out. Okay. I encourage everybody to dream. Dream, dream, dream. Just put those dreams somewhere in your heart where you're going to access them all day. Do that daydreaming like you were talking about, Scott. And whatever dream you want to attain, you can do it. If you really want to do it, you can do it. There is a way. I guarantee you somebody else has done it before you, and you can learn from them. And I believe in you.
Absolutely. As always, remember, tomorrow, do one thing nice for somebody else, do two things nice for yourself, and you'll never have a bad day. All right, for both of us, Scott J. and Mary Kay, we thank you for joining us right here on The Life Between All or Nothing. We're here every Thursday at 7 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye.